Good morning, everybody. Doug Woody, Vice President with Bryan Construction. We're a full-service general contractor with a specialty niche in the DoD aerospace and secure facilities environment. We've completed over 100 SCIF projects across the nation and international, approaching about 200 million square feet of space that we provided for these clients and the government. And that's both in the U.S. and international. We do have international presence. So we've been in the industry since 1998. We do a lot of federal military work, and I like to tease that we've been doing SCIF work before it was a four-letter word that anybody recognized. And so we have a deep bench and capabilities and expertise that really can help this market. And happy to join this panel. Many of them are familiar faces, including our recent completion of Nooks with Sean here on the end and working with Eric, and not to mention our head honcho here today, Frank. We've had the pleasure of having about a 12-13 year relationship with the Castle Rock EDC, and hoping to push some things into the Castle Rock arena too. So excited to be here. Lots of topics to cover today and a lot of interest, and looking forward to hearing how we can solve some challenges. Yeah, I think the piece I would add is because this is not that far away, just like Greg was just speaking to, and with that, you know, there's a process to, if you're going to get into the current standards, and there's these grandfather clauses that exist out there that are no longer going to be in 2028. There's a tipping point in the industry, honestly, and it's good that we have Nooks and Westway on the panel, because I think there's a lot of innovation that can happen on the private sector that can help with this in what they do. But you know, if you're faced with that need to get reaccredited and get up to standards, there's a lot to it. And if those folks that have them and are considering that and not being having their accreditation pulled, there's a lot of site assessment, working alongside the accrediting official and assessing the space. You know, there's a lot of things that we've been doing with clients that are marching towards that 2028 deadline, and it varies. There's some of these spaces that are out there that need a lot of love and a lot of attention, and some that are easier to get up to the standards. And you know, the government's come out with these classifications of who they're going to target first, and critical, high and moderate risk of what they see is the SCIF market, and where they're going to target first. And so they kind of give us some guidance of what that's going to look like. But you can't start too soon. I mean, if you're going to get up to standards, the process has got to start now, in my opinion. And I would add too that I mean, that is a very complex question, and you're hearing some of it from Scott and Eric here, because it is really situational dependent. I mean, when you look at the cost side of secure space, it is very costly. So if you have a SCIF now, to upgrade it depends on how far back in the process you are and how long you've neglected some of those upgrades and some of the construction piece of it to get it, to make sure it's accredited. So I think that definitely goes into it. Some of them are going to be easier to get up to standards, and others are going to be way more expensive. And I agree with what Eric's saying here too. I think it's the client dependent, and some of the solutions that are getting creative out there is it really depends on the business too. You know, unfortunately, and it's needed, no doubt, the SCIF arena does tend to stifle small business, because it's so expensive to build a SCIF, to compete on a government contract, to get that contract, and then, you know, be productive. So some of these, there's not a golden answer to it, really. I think it's going to be a combination of maybe upgrading what you have, maybe utilizing other resources, but definitely planning for it in your capital campaigns to stay on top of it, I think is the best thing to do.
But what about the design for
Sure. Yeah, absolutely, and these guys are hitting on some of it, but you know, it is, you talk to, I kudos to these guys that have served and been in these SCIFs, but they are mentally taxing when you're in them for, you know, 10, 12 hours a day. You don't see daylight, you don't see views, you don't get to do a lot of things, you don't have your phone with you. It's mentally taxing, and kudos for the industry realizing what that's doing to the workforce, and believe it or not, the suicide rate on SCIF facilities. So, you know what, we hit on one of them. Daylight's always crucial, right? Daylighting for any space, you want to see outside. So the innovation that has happened in the industry is a big piece of it with the RF films and advancements there. Trying to bring a lot of the outdoors indoors, even just as simple as having live plants, artwork, things, or even unclassified spaces where these individuals working in there can get out for a minute, check an email, check their phone, be engaged with the outside world instead of being stuck in this six-sided dark box all day, is where the industry is going, which is awesome to see. The government is very appreciative of that. They understand the complexities of it, and so that innovation piece has certainly taken hold, and we were fortunate enough to do Nooks's flagship location in Colorado Springs, and they've embraced that. They really have, and their partner at Trainer, we were able to really develop some cool spaces that, like Sean was just saying, you walk in there, you don't know you're in a SCIF. And that's the piece we're going to have to change, because the mental side of it is definitely taking its toll on people that work in them day to day. Yeah, and if I can add on to that, and totally agree, and you hit on it, DIA has been a crux where we used to see approvals in 30, 60 days has become 7 months. That really hampers this process, but also where we've been able to pivot a little bit. And the government knows this, speed and government don't go together, and they're trying to figure this out too, but the need for this is real, and so pivoting also to other accrediting agencies I think is important. We've had a lot of our clients not necessarily go through DIA, it's contract dependent, but the NRO is another accrediting agency within the government that we're seeing a lot better and quicker review times and accrediting timelines, and they're willing to come in and credit on the spot without having to wait for the paperwork for another 2 weeks. So that's really shortened some of the durations. My fear with that, once you know which is the easier button, everybody's going to kind of pivot over to NRO, and NRO is going to get busy. And so the accreditation piece and getting the construction plan in early, all those are going to be key. And then, for our side of it, when you go to build it, these have a tremendous lead time components to go into them. So if you're building out, let's say a 10,000 square foot SCIF that takes 4 months, a lot of the lead times on some of this material, like sound rated doors and wave guides and some of the stuff that goes into the foil, the insulation, when you're talking 4, 6, 7 months of lead time on some of this stuff, we've got to be proactive in that. So you really got to strike the balance of getting your approvals through the government, balancing that with design, balancing that with lead times, and getting stuff released early, because that could kill a project too. If we're sitting there waiting, we get accredited and then we order everything, and now we're like, oh, guess what? We're 7 months out before we can start. Is that balance is crucial, and working with clients to make sure that we're striking that perfect balance between everything. Yeah, and one other thing that is cool to see that's an innovation piece, in my opinion, is and Nooks is doing this. I'll toot their horn again, because once again we're doing their space for them. So, but it's unique is meeting space too. Talk about conference space and arenas, like take this room for example. There's not a lot of that out there, so to be able to be in a SCIF environment that allows a lot of that discussion and talk in a classified means is important. So building out large conference areas too that can be classified on the kind of content you can share in there, and create that innovation and that spark that conversation between folks, kind of like Eric was talking about on a smaller scale within a company, but imagine hosting larger events and conferences that can really help that piece too. So I think that piece of it is another innovative piece that is taking hold in the industry, is creating those types of spaces as well. Yeah. So yeah, I think the biggest challenges that are out there that we all can work on is speed to market's key for this industry, and that is providing space for it. Once again, we've got a lot of folks here on the panel that are working on it, and kudos to Dean here for having that vision, because that's a hard trust factor to lean out there and have the space available on a new build. But we often get asked of what can we do to be SCIF ready, right, as for our building. And it's not complicated, but there are some nuances to it for existing buildings for sure that assessing it's fairly easy to do. But when you're thinking about existing space, really gutted, bare bones is best to start, because that process has to go from day one on inspections. So there's no reusing a lot of stuff. There's no a lot of differentiators on how we do that. So a lot of that redundancy in fiber and power is crucial. But also when you look at lease space, a lot of the challenges these companies come up with that I think we got to continue to be creative, and it's hard, right? As a real estate and an owner or a broker, is these guys need room to expand. So all too often we're encouraging them to plan ahead. That you need 20,000 square foot today, but you may need 40,000 in 2 years. How do we best position you? Because you imagine spending all this money to build something out, and then you're landlocked, and then you have to pick up roots and go somewhere else. So first right of refusals, maybe leasing more space than they need, things like that on an avenue that makes that easier for them, because to uproot and move is going to be hard too. So having the space, having the right space, the speed to market, and then working hand in hand early to ensure that we're not tripping over ourselves in the process to build it. The Denver EDC, I see Colorado Springs here, obviously Frank's our moderator. This is a united front across Colorado, and kudos to you guys for stepping up and being a big part of that attraction to Colorado, to what you're both talking about, because that is hugely important.
All right, we want to turn it over to questions really quickly.
Yeah, I'd like to know that, and I have 20 questions for Bryan. But what concerns do you have around the tariff dramatically increasing construction costs of this space, and what is the price difference between renovation versus a full demo and rebuilding from the ground up?
Wow, that second one's very complicated. I'll take the easy one first. The tariff side of it, for us, we monitor our cost data on a monthly basis. So we have seen for the first time in 2 years above a 0.5% per month increase 2 months ago, but it leveled back out. So it hasn't really impacted construction costs yet. We still see a lot of letters that come in the door of steel and copper and different things that may be affected. It hasn't taken hold, but I don't think it's something we need to get too relaxed on and be aware of the market, and especially when it comes to this arena, because it is a lot of Buy America type stuff too. So we got to be cognizant of that for sure, but it really hasn't impacted our day-to-day. Like I said, we monitor that, manage that on a month-to-month basis, and nothing's been too concerning yet, but we'll see. As far as the other side of it, there's a lot that goes into that. I don't know if there's a golden answer to demo and reuse and going new. There are so many components. It's really, I would say, the biggest factor that is a determinant for the SCIF arena is the size of it, really. The cost per square foot goes down the bigger it gets, because of all the mitigations we got to put in place and a lot of things we have to do to build out a SCIF. So obviously, the bigger square footage, you could spread it off over a bigger area. To give a golden answer, unfortunately, I can't, because it's all over the map as far as size and cost. And for us, it has impacted us for sure. Not necessarily on the secure space environment, because we're contracting kind of one-off from the government, but a large piece of what we do is direct with the federal government. So CMMC compliance is going to be a must for us. We've been in that for about 1.5 years now as a company. To your point, it's a very lengthy checklist of things and processes and procedures and how you do certain things that has to be implemented. So it's been very invasive to what we do, but we're getting close. Our goal is to have that certification here by the end of the year, and we're on track for that. But it is very real, and I expect that to not only flow down from the federal government eventually, but into some of this environment as well, because the need to secure this information that we're talking about is crucial for sure.
Rely on just a couple of general contractors, a couple of
Yeah, you can. I'm kidding. No, there's plenty out there. Yeah. Yeah, I echo that. Yeah, experience matters. It's not something you can just pick up and go build one without knowing how to get there. And so knowledge is power. I think educating yourself on that process, I agree that the pool's deep. I have kid on a few general contractors, but we're gonna need more of it. So understanding it, knowing it, hiring the right staff to do it is all gonna be key. Because you know the speed to market again, being able to, on the construction side, produce a facility that has zero issues with the accrediting official at the end of construction, that's huge. That saves weeks, months, multiple months, depending on the complexity of the issue if we don't do our job right. And that's money, you know, advancement of our national defense, our innovation, everything we're doing that this market impacts. If we do it wrong, there's huge implications of that downstream for sure.
Yeah, people have grown up doing this stuff.